What's up, everybody? The Iceman here on this Saturday, and a quick recap of last night's TNA Impact Wrestling. A very phenomenal show. There was like two matches that really blew the roof off in my eyes. But anyhow, we did see Ethan Carter III and Tyrus going up against Mr. Anderson and Rockstar Spud. Of course, Ethan with the Clippers, as always, trying to get a piece of Rockstar Spud. And the match was okay. It got to the point where, Tyrus was just too much for both Spud and Mr. Anderson. And Ethan Carter, to me, really, he needs to get away from this Clippers business, cutting the hair. Because, like I said, it does remind me of Brutus the Barber Beefcake from the old WWF days. And he doesn't need a thug behind him. He needs to prove himself as a singles wrestler here in TNA. I think he can be so much better. But anyway, the match went on, and it wasn't until the end where Mr. Anderson came in and gave him a low blow, and then the mic check, and then Spud came in and got the pin over Tyrus. It was an entertaining match, to say the least. It wasn't bad, but like I said, Ethan Carter needs to really pretty much really move on. Taryn Terrell came into the ring as well, calling out Awesome Kong, but Gail Kim came in and told her, you don't know what you're getting yourself into. Taryn told Gail that she respected, her thoughts and her opinions, but she wanted to call out Awesome Kong, who also devastated her the prior week. Now Kong came out, boom, lights out. There goes Taryn Terrell. So she's down for the count again. And I do see in the very, very near future that Taryn Terrell loses the Knockouts title belt. Then we saw MVP talking strategy with BDC. They were also talking about Austin Aries and whatnot. And they had their plans pretty much set in place. We saw an intergender match as well with Angelina Love and Robbie E versus Brooke and Chris Melendez. Brooke Tessmacher, that is. Not a lot of time given to this match. It was a pretty good match overall. But Brooke, towards the end, was in the ring, and Robbie E got tagged in from Angelina Love, or I should say that Robbie E tagged himself in, and he went in and he got the pin off of Brooke, and he's acting like he beat the world heavyweight champion Bobby Lashley, and this is the mentality of Robbie E. So it was sort of like an entertaining match, but it was sort of like, comical in some way as well. So then we saw Ethan Carter going to Rockstar Spud's locker room. He turns on the Clippers. Spud screams from inside the dressing room. Anderson rushes in to make the save, but EC3 did get a chunk of hair from Rockstar Spud. Tyrus comes in to make the save for EC3, and there you have it there. And then we also saw a segment with Gunner talking to Kurt Angle about his passive attitude regarding the BDC. Gunner says Angle needs a little motivation, and he slapped Angle in the face. Now, what was to become after that, remains to be seen as well. Then we saw Austin Aries enter the arena. The crowd chants Aries, Aries. Aries come out and said, I have a first name too. And then the crowd started chanting Austin Aries. He was basically telling everybody they're jockeying for power in TNA, but he has all the power in his hand. He holds up his Feast or Fired briefcase. And there Aries asked, what if he decided to cash in tonight? What if tonight was a night that ended and your new TNA World Heavyweight Champion was Austin Aries? Joe comes out, Samoa Joe comes out from the back. He says Aries has no chance of cashing in the briefcase. Joe says that he has, with a snap of his fingers, he can make sure Aries cashes in. Nothing ever again. Aries asks what happened to Samoa Joe. He wonders if Joe was MVP's lapdog. He also said he wonders if he gives MVP a foot rub and gets him Camille T. Joe threatens to snap Aries' neck. Aries accepts the challenge and dives out of the ring at Samoa Joe. And then the match begins. And this was a classic match between both Samoa Joe and Austin Aries. As we all know that Samoa Joe has left TNA, but obviously with the tapings, we'll see him for a number of weeks. But this match was a classic. Both these guys gave it their all. And of course, with the Beatdown Clan, you never know what's going to happen. You always know that somebody's going to interfere. And I'm going to tell you something. It got to the point where, Austin Aries had an opportunity to win it a number of times. Samoa Joe also at some point. Samoa Joe ended up kicking Austin Aries, and then it just was like you thought for sure that Joe was going to win this match. He attempted a muscle buster, but Aries counters into a schoolboy. Then Samoa Joe kicks out before two, and Austin Aries locks in the last chancery. Kenny King comes to the ringside and distracts Aries with his briefcase. Aries sends Joe into the King before connecting with a crucifix and a 450 splash for the win and the pin. And that was awesome for Austin Aries. But what happened afterwards wasn't, because low-key Kenny King rushed into the ring. The BDC ended up destroying Austin Aries. They stole his briefcase, and they basically said, there's no way he's cashing in tonight. And then we saw a segment with MVP and Eric Young. MVP trying to manipulate Eric Young, really, for the simple fact that he's trying to say that, he has a void to fill with Lashley, just for the simple fact that he did lose his world heavyweight title, and a manipulation that worked for Eric Young. And the character of Eric Young right now doesn't take too much manipulation. So Eric Young, with that crazy, odd look in himself, ended up accepting, and who knows what was going to happen actually thereafter. Then we saw a British Boot Camp match. Two former members of British Boot Camp, Nolan Dar and Rampage Brown, went at it. Interesting, it didn't get going very, very long, because then we heard Brahms' music come in. He came in and destroyed both these guys at calling out Magnus, and then in comes Grado with a huge, huge applaud from the crowd. Brahm does the same to Grado, and he's trying to prove a point. He's waiting for Magnus, and I cannot wait for the one-on-one confrontation for Magnus and Brahm. It's gonna be awesome. And then we come to the TNA World Heavyweight Championship match. MVP versus our champion, the Destroyer, Bobby Lashley. Guys, there's so much that went on in this match. I really cannot get into giving you all the details, but this was a match that went back and forth. Both men were this close to getting the win. Then there was some outside interference. Low-key got thrown out of the arena by Brian Stepler, or whatever his name is, the ref. And then these two just went at it, and then Stepler got hit. He was down and out for the count. There was opportunities for pinfalls that just didn't happen, and it was like mayhem. And the Beatdown Clan got involved, like we all thought they were going to get involved, and the match went on back and forth. And finally, all of a sudden, somebody came out to help Bobby Lashley, and that first man was Gunner, and he started helping take out the rest of the Beatdown Clan, but to no avail. There was still outside interference from the Beatdown Clan, and then lo and behold, which totally shocked me, because I really thought Kurt Angle would probably come out and do something. It wasn't Kurt Angle. It ended up being Bobby Roode, who came out after Eric Young came into the ring, was ready to pile drive Lashley on the chair. Roode came out, took out Eric Young, chased him down the runway, And then the match still continued. Brian Hebner came out and again, Beatdown Clan getting involved. And who else comes out? None other than Drew Galloway. The crowd erupted. The crowd went nuts. The playing field was left even, and Bobby Lashley ended up getting the legitimate pin on MVP. Now, I honestly thought going into this match, MVP was going to be the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion because I don't read spoilers. This match was phenomenal. This was a great, great main event, as was Austin Aries and Samoa Joe. So if you guys don't get the opportunity or didn't get the opportunity to see it last night, watch it today or watch it over the weekend. You won't be disappointed. These two matches were phenomenal by TNA. And everybody says, you know, well, they don't have much of a roster. They can't really do much. But I'm going to tell you, with the people that they got, they come up with some very good creative ideas. And at least in this match here, in this title match, the man that should have won cleanly ended up winning, even with all the outside interference, which we don't usually see in other promotions. We usually see, the cheaters end up winning. In this case, it didn't happen, and I credit Dixie Carter and TNA Impact Wrestling for doing a phenomenal job on this main event, and I'm looking forward to next week. So, peace out, everybody. Enjoy your Saturday. We'll see y'all next time. This is the Iceman.